Hey, welcome back. Today we're looking at The End, the final episode of Season 5. Premiering May 17th, 1998, The End features a young chess prodigy who becomes the target of assassination, and an ex-girlfriend of Mulder's comes back into his life. Oh, please don't be Phoebe. Hello! The episode opens up in Vancouver, British Columbia. Finally, after 5 years, Vancouver gets a little well-deserved love. I sure hope the X-Files doesn't make a horrible mistake by leaving to go film elsewhere. We've got ourselves an intense little game of chess between Russia and the US. You know, that's the exact move I would have made. For some reason, the lawyer from Jurassic Park is up in the rafters with a gun. I'm guessing he put his life savings on the Russian to win. Of course, since this is the X-Files and children can never just be normal on this show, Gibson can hear people's thoughts. So does this mean he's not actually a chess prodigy and instead is a huge cheater? Oh, so that's why the lawyer wants him dead. How did this guy miss? The kid barely moved. Did George Lucas re-edit this scene? Oh, now we're in the Quebec, Canada. And I can say it like that because I'm Canadian, so back off. We've got some friendly looking guys who I think want to play a game of snooker with the cigarette smoking man. Holy shit, CSM blew that guy away, but how did he leave bloody footprints in the snow? The guy he shot fell back in the snow and it's not like CSM walked on him, and there's no indication that CSM got injured either. But whatever, the bad guy has a path to follow, I guess. CSM gets stopped by his would-be killer, and would you look at that, it's our boy Krychek. How many times do you think these two have turned on each other by this point? I love this little collection in Mulder's office of previous cases. We've got Dwayne Barry, Toombs, the Eves, the Japanese doctors that were experimenting on the train cars, and I'm pretty sure that's just David and Jillian reading their scripts. Skinner's just doing a little snooping when he's caught in the act by Mulder.
I came down to ask you something. I guess I was nosing around, wondering about you, your long-term plans.
My long-term plans?
This is like when your significant other starts asking where your relationship is headed. So where do you see us in 5 years? Skinner's acting kinda weird for some reason. He then goes on about the assassinated chess player and how Jeffrey Spender's been placed in charge of the investigation. Jeffrey has also banned Mulder from being involved, which I don't really think he minds. It's not like this case is an X-file.
Nor has the shooter offered up a statement or accomplice.
Or maybe he does mind because he just barges his way in anyways.
Let me get through this. If you have any questions, we can talk later.
I don't have any questions. No, I just think you're wrong.
NANI?
Okay, I think he really did mind not being invited. Mulder believes the Russian wasn't the target and instead it was Gibson. But who would want to shoot an innocent child like him? Although he is a chess cheater. You know, the more I think about it, maybe there is something spooky to this case. I mean, the footage shows the chessboard spin without losing any pieces, but when the Russian guy was shot, he took the whole board down with him. And then when it cut to Gibson, the board was back on the table. Just what the hell is going on here? Anyways, Mulder points out that if the kid didn't move in time, he would have taken a bullet to the back of the neck. Wait a minute, a bullet to the back of the neck? Why does that sound so familiar? Mulder does seem to have a little support from, Diana Fowley, oh god. Cigarette smoking man meets with the syndicate who seem to be a little annoyed that their gunmen failed to kill him. But it's funny because they tried to kill him, but now something's come up and they need his help. They tell CSM about Gibson and he agrees to handle it. But it's amazing that they need all this deep cover secrecy to take out a child.
There were things at home I decided I wanted to get back to.
For the love of God, why? Excuse me, Gibson, but I'm supposed to insert the Simpsons clips?
Where I live in the Philippines, all we get is Baywatch.
What's wrong with Baywatch?
You've got a dirty mind.
Mulder, a dirty mind? Well, this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Whatever tape you found on that VCR, it isn't mine.
Good, because I put it back in that drawer with all those other videos that aren't yours.
I love how Mulder basically antagonizes this child, calling him out for being a fraud at chess because he knows this kid can read minds. It's okay though, because Gibson throws it right back at him when he accuses Mulder of thinking about one of the ladies in the room, and one of the ladies in the room thinking about him. I wonder which lady would be thinking about Mulder. Oh god. Scully stops Mulder and is all, what the hell was that all about? Mulder tells her he thinks Gibson can read minds, and Scully's all, I don't think so, Mulder. Clearly Gibson is just really good at chess. Fowley comes out to take Mulder's side, which really must drive Scully nuts. Mulder decides to test Gibson with a psych evaluation and then just casually walks away, leaving Scully in charge of it. Is he really sure they should test Gibson though? They don't exactly have the best track record when it comes to children.
That's enough.
Mulder heads down to speak to the killer, but Spender throws a little hissy fit because he really doesn't want Mulder involved. If he really didn't want Mulder involved, then he never should have said anything to Skinner. The more Mulder's told he can't do something, the more likely he's going to do it anyways. And well, Mulder does it anyways. And the best part is he tells Spender to get lost and get this man something to eat. This is technically Spender's case, and Mulder just shoos him away like he's a little fly. Mulder doesn't really get anything out of the guy, but he does put a little fear in him by making sure he knows Gibson can read minds.
You're wondering, aren't you?
About what? About you?
About that other girl. She's wondering about you too.
Oh, maybe we have a little romance between Scully and Fowley. Although let's be honest, Scully could do a little better than Fowley. Although if she's as bad at picking out women as she is men, oh boy.
Smiley face. Statue.
Good guess, but wrong.
Scully then starts getting a little jealous when Fowley drops on her that her and Mulder once witnessed a similar test together, but it wasn't nearly as accurate. It's like Scully doesn't enjoy hearing that Mulder had a life before she came into it. The assassin is handed a note, which I'm assuming can only be good news. Wait, that's not good news, but who would write on a cigarette package? To make Mulder jealous, Scully decides to visit the lone gunman, and it looks like she's just in time for a slumber party. She claims she's there to talk about Gibson and his magical mind-reading powers, but what she's really there for is to learn more about this Diana Fowley character.
She was there when he discovered the X-Files.
I always wondered why they split up.
Okay, Scully, nothing to worry about. You're just gonna have to start believing like you never have before. Which you haven't, because you're a skeptic. Mulder meets back with Fowley, and the two can't help but glaze one another. You're so much better at spooky things than me. No, you are. I'm terrible. Oh god, it just makes me want to retch. To make things worse, she then starts taking jabs at Scully. What about that partner of yours, Mully? Oh, well, it seems like she doesn't have much of an open mind. You keep that up and Scully's gonna open your mind with a 9mm. Scully has the worst timing with Mulder's exes. Now clearly she's not jealous, I mean just look at that slumped posture. That's the posture of someone who's very happy. Scully calls up Mulder and tells him to meet her back at the office because she has something to show him with regards to Gibson. She also nearly backs into Spender just as he's pulling into the parking garage.
Agent Spender, I need to speak with you.
Who are you?
Oh here we go. CSM starts going on about vague chess analogies until he's interrupted by Mulder, who is only just learning that cigarette-smoking man is still alive, although I think this might ruin his friendship with Spender. Things get a little spicy back at FBI HQ when Scully tells not just Skinner and Mulder, but apparently everyone that Gibson is a very special boy and could basically be the key to proving everything in the X-Files. I don't know how a mind-reading boy proves a demonic ghost child is real, but okay. The only thing though is they would need help from the assassin, and that would require giving him a get-out-of-jail-free card, which Spender and Fowley both protest against for very different reasons. Mulder speaks to Skinner, and of course Mulder decides to go through with it, even though it could be very risky for him and the X-Files. They speak with the assassin, who doesn't say a whole lot, but basically confirms that Gibson just might be the missing link between humans and aliens. So he's not a hybrid like Cassandra, but a human whose alien genes are active. Think of the ancient alien stuff they show on History, where it's theorized aliens kickstarted human evolution. This would mean all humans have this gene, but unlike Gibson, ours simply hasn't turned on. The Syndicate pull up on CSM and try to give him hell for failing once again, but he just throws out more chess analogies, confusing them and me in the process. Scully tries questioning Gibson on how he does what he does, but what I'm more interested in is how many Fox TV shows they can squeeze into one episode. The assassin is handed another note, and hopefully this one is better than the last. How did he not see this coming after the previous note? In the meantime, Fowley, who took over babysitting duties, notices Gibson is standing at the window and he tells her there's a man with a gun.
He didn't come here to kill me. He's aiming at you.
What? He totally set her up. Mulder and Scully arrive on the scene, and maybe I missed something because I thought Scully was in another room, but apparently not. Anyways, it's not looking good for Fowley. Gibson is missing, the assassin is dead, and Mulder knows CSM is behind it all. Speaking of CSM, he brings Gibson to the Syndicate, but the well-manicured man doesn't seem all that impressed. But if he's not impressed, then why didn't he get the boy himself? Mulder comes at Spender hard and fast.
Phrasing.
Because he thinks he's involved with the cigarette smoking man.
Your days are numbered.
You're wrong, Agent Mulder. It's your days that are numbered.
I love how Spender is such a wimp that he waits until Mulder is out of earshot to respond. It seems Mulder may have pushed a little too hard this time, because the Attorney General isn't too happy and Spender is being an annoying little tool. While Mulder and Scully mull over their possible reassignments within the FBI, the cigarette smoking man is up to something rather fishy. Why does he take Samantha's file, and what the hell does he want with Spender?
Who are you?
I'm your father.
Nani?
And there it is. And honestly, that's not even the worst of it. So I guess they weren't kidding when they called this one the end. The End is a really solid season finale with a pretty shocking ending that I don't think people were really expecting. Unlike the season 4 episode Gethsemane where Mulder is claimed to be dead, I think we all knew that would be highly unlikely, but destroying the X-Files is something else entirely. We've seen Mulder and Scully kicked off the X-Files before, but never has it gone up in flames. But this really does make it feel like everything that came before is over, like we're about to start a whole new chapter. What makes the end even more significant is what was happening off screen. This episode wasn't just closing out season 5, it was closing out 5 full years of shooting in Vancouver, the city that basically gave the X-Files its entire visual identity. Back in 1993, the pilot was originally supposed to shoot in Los Angeles, but production moved to Vancouver early on, partly to save money, partly because the gloomy, rain-soaked forest made for perfect alien abduction country, and it worked. The overcast skies, misty woods, and dim lighting helped define the show's tone. Vancouver became as much a character in the series as Mulder or Scully. By the end of season 5 though, things were starting to shift. The show was now a massive international hit, and the cost savings from filming in Canada didn't matter as much anymore. Plus, after 5 years of living in Vancouver 10 months out of the year, David Duchovny wanted to come home. He had just married Téa Leoni and made it clear that if the show stayed in Vancouver, he'd only do a limited number of episodes per season. The number was around 8, and this led to speculation that Jeffrey Spender was actually taking over for Mulder. Gillian Anderson reportedly felt the same way, though she was a bit more quiet. Meanwhile, the constant back and forth between LA, where writing and post-production happened, and Vancouver had become logistically exhausting. Throw in rising production costs, with some episodes now topping $2.5 million each, and the move to LA was starting to feel inevitable. Still, no one on the Vancouver crew had official word. Tensions built throughout the 5th season, which was already a rough shoot. They had scheduling conflicts with recurring actors, multiple episodes being filmed at once, and at one point even had 3rd and 4th units running just to keep everything on schedule. The network ended up cutting the season order from 22 to 20 episodes, with a special documentary, Inside the X-Files, used to help fill the gap. Finally, in March 1998, Chris Carter flew up to Vancouver to deliver the news in person. He met privately with department heads, then gathered the full cast and crew, and began reading a prepared statement about the reasons for the move, but partway through he got too emotional to finish. After 5 years, hundreds of episodes, and a crew that had grown into family, it really was the end of an era. But instead of going out quietly, they threw a huge farewell party, disguised as a location shoot. That giant chess match scene in the beginning of the episode, it was filmed at GM Place, now Rogers Arena, home to the Vancouver Canucks. And rather than filling the stands with CGI or a few dozen extras and cutaways, they went big. The production team invited the public to come be a part of the shoot, expecting maybe 5,000 people to show up. Instead, they got over 17,000. There were radio giveaways, people lined up overnight, and even some folks got turned away once the arena reached capacity. During breaks between takes, there was food, music, Q&As with Gillian and David, and $20,000 worth of prizes that were handed out. TVs, electronics, the works. It was less of a set and more like a rock concert crossed with a fan convention. Executive producer Bob Goodwin, who also directed the episode, used the arena's giant video screens to cue the crowd like a live audience. For 8 hours straight, they followed directions, recreated shots over and over, and even reacted to a gunshot with synchronized panic on cue. Goodwin later said it was the greatest thing he'd ever done in his life, and honestly, it kinda sounds like it. Fittingly, the end is also the only time in the series where Vancouver actually plays itself. That opening scene isn't pretending to be DC or Pennsylvania or suburban Iowa, that's just Vancouver front and center for the first and last time. Carter called it a bit of a storytelling lie, since Canada is not exactly in the FBI's jurisdiction, but nobody was complaining and I don't care. Now let's talk about Gibson praise for a second. He wasn't just another gifted kid of the week. His entire character was built around a core idea that Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz had been kicking around for years, that humans are actually part alien. Not just visited by aliens or experimented on by aliens, but literally genetically related. And that's sort of what makes Gibson so important. He's proof of that theory. The kid can read minds, predict behavior, and basically confirm all the stuff Mulder's been ranting about for 5 seasons. Which of course means he has to be assassinated, because that's how this show works. If you know the truth, you're likely going to die. The casting of Jeff Gulka was fine. The kid had this weird calm about him, like an alien monk trapped in the body of an 11-year-old boy. He'll come back for multiple episodes in later seasons, but this was his big debut. And for a child actor, he did a decent job. Speaking of debuting, let's talk about Diana Fowley, played by Mimi Rogers. Mulder's mysterious ex-flame who shows up just in time to make Scully squirm and annoy the hell out of me. Now, according to Chris Carter, it was David that suggested her for the role, and it kinda makes sense. They have worked together before, and by work together, I mean they got very busy in the movie The Rapture. You know, I'm starting to understand what Mulder sees in her. Also, look at that sweet mullet. Anyway, Mimi fit the role perfectly, even though she annoys the hell out of me. She's got a strong presence, believable as a former partner, and mysterious enough to make you wonder just which side she was playing. Behind the scenes, she said David had always told her, if something good comes up, I'll call you. And apparently, hey, wanna be my sketchy ex on the X-Files was good enough. Now let's rewind to the actual production of The End, which turned into this massive bittersweet goodbye. Chris Carter didn't just write it, he directed second unit himself so he could be with the crew as much as possible. By this point, everyone knew the move to LA was real. On the final shoot day, the call sheet was jam-packed. 9 scenes, 8 setups, and a workday that went from morning until well past midnight. But even though this was their final day on the shoot, no one was dragging their heels. This was their farewell lap. One emotional moment came when they filmed the final lone gunman scene with Scully. It was Gillian Anderson's last scene in Vancouver, and it took place in a small, improvised version of the gunman's cluttered HQ, built inside Riverview Hospital. Everyone who could be there, from grips to office staff, crowded around to watch. And when it wrapped, she gave out custom bathrobes with the message, "Good night everybody, I love you forever GA," stitched on the back. She broke into tears during her thank you, and yeah, if your heart doesn't crack a little hearing that, you might actually be an alien. Meanwhile, Dave Duchovny filmed his final scene a few days earlier, handed out autographed basketballs to the crew because sure, why not? And then flew home to LA, probably to celebrate his freedom with his new wife in the only way David knows how.
Hubba hubba.
And if all of that wasn't enough, the crew held a massive wrap party at Vancouver's planetarium, dancing, drinking, and reliving 5 years of monster makeup and exploding prosthetics. Fittingly, The End was also the last episode directed by Bob Goodwin, who had handled the first and last episodes of nearly every season. He and producer JP Finn even wrote heartfelt goodbye letters to the crew, thanking them for 5 years of hard work and reminding them they just made one of the greatest sci-fi shows of all time. Even Chris Carter later said that burning down the X-Files office on screen felt like they were torching their entire world. The show would go on, sure, but everything from the cast to the climate to the entire crew was all about to change. And fittingly, since this episode is called The End, I do want to mention the recent passing of X-Files composer Mark Snow. Even if you don't know his name, you definitely know his work. That iconic, haunting whistle that kicks off every episode, that was so Mark. But it wasn't just the theme. He scored nearly every episode of The X-Files, both movies, and came back for the revival seasons too. He also composed the dark, brooding score for Millennium, the moody superhero vibes of Smallville, and even worked on classic shows like Starsky and Hutch, TJ Hooker, and Blue Bloods. But The X-Files was his magnum opus. His music gave the show its identity. Not just the fear and tension, but the heartbreak, the wonder, the mystery. He made you feel the unknown. Rest in peace, Mark Snow, and thanks for making the truth sound so unforgettable. The End currently sits at 8.8 on IMDb. I really enjoy this episode, and I like what it's setting up, so I think I'll probably give it an 8. Up next, however, we have what a lot of you have been asking me about since I started making these videos, as The X-Files makes its way to the big screen in the X-Files movie, or X-Files Fight the Future. So what do you think about The End? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you're having a great day and stay spooky.
35 million worldwide are watching The X-Files and wondering what's next. Mimi Rogers guest stars in the season finale.
He's the real deal, Fox.
The discovery.
Kid reads minds.
The return.
I was sent to bring you back.
The future.
This time they may have won.
The X-Files season finale, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.